Hey friends, welcome back to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. Today I have a very special guest who I'm going to share with you in a little bit. And I just want to tell you before we start this recording, you might hear some kids in the background. We are both very busy mamas and we have a house full of kids, both of us do. So sometimes you're going to hear those kids, especially my kids, having fun, laughing, and playing. And so I apologize for that, but I'm sure you guys all understand as you have kids in your house as well. So I can't wait to share this episode with you. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi friend, do you dream of having a garden but you don't know where to start? Do you want to switch to more natural products but feel overwhelmed by all the options? Do you believe that a holistic lifestyle would help your special needs kiddo but you're daunted by all the information out there? Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast, where you will learn how to work towards your dream for homesteading, gardening, and holistic living in small, simple steps that won't overwhelm you. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a wife, Jesus follower, and mom to some amazing kids. As some of my kids began experiencing health struggles and developmental delays, I decided it was time to switch to a holistic lifestyle. I quickly became stressed out and burnt out, feeling like I needed to change everything at once. I finally realized that I had to start making one small change at a time, then build from there. I learned to walk this holistic journey in a way that works for me and my family, without stress or overwhelm or constantly feeling like I wasn't doing enough. If you're ready to hear from another mama who understands what it's like to have no time and who can help you make changes towards better health for your family in a way that works for your specific life, then this is the podcast for you. Pop in your earbuds, reheat your coffee for the third time, and let's do this. Hey friends, welcome back to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. Today I have a special guest with me. This is Keene. She is actually the host of the Her Home and Heart podcast and a dear friend of mine as well. And I'm so excited to have her with us today. Katie, welcome to the podcast. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your podcast?
Absolutely, Ashley. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
So I am the mom of 5. And of those kiddos, I do have some who have special needs. And so it's been a real journey. We homeschool and we were a military family. So we have had a very, very busy, very full life and juggle a lot. So my podcast is for moms who homeschool to reduce their overwhelm. We have experienced a lot of overwhelm. It is my nemesis. And so I like to try to share all the tips and tricks and things that can just help us function better in life as a mom in general, and then also in the arena of homeschooling.
So I know you are very well experienced with that feeling of overwhelm. Could you share with us one tip you have or that you share with your audience of how to combat that feeling of overwhelm as a very busy, stressed out mom?
Oh, absolutely. So I, of course, have set up little frameworks for myself in my house that I teach people that help me parent well, even when I'm about to lose it, which Ashley, you know, because you went
Yes.
through my,
Yes.
my family government class, which is a crucial piece for me here. And then also just managing my own central nervous system and my own mindset is tremendously huge, because when I don't take care of myself, I find that there are such outcomes that I don't even notice are happening at first, but are affecting my entire family, which in turn then affect me.
Mhm.
And I know recently you and I were talking about some of what that looks like.
Yes.
And you and I each have similar but different ways that can express, you know, how we all have personality types.
Mm-hmm.
There are different ways that personality types express when you're stressed. And it's not usually as positive. It's not authentic to you. And the other thing is, for me, I just stop laughing and
Yes.
stop enjoying things. That takes me a while to realize, but it's really a loss because I don't have forever with my kids. They are growing up and they are going to leave. And I want to be able to center myself every single day in a way where I can enjoy them and I can laugh and I can just see the richness in my life that is here despite the challenge, because every life has richness and all lives have challenge. So being able to see that clearly is so important.
You know, I think you saying that about how we often will lose our ability to laugh, I think lose our joy when we are just absolutely consumed with overwhelm and feeling like we are stretched like to the max. I feel like that probably resonates with so many of the people listening. I know it does with me. And a lot of times it sneaks up on us and we don't even realize we're to that point where we are maybe raising our voice or getting agitated about silly things that don't matter. And it's just because, like you said, our body, our nervous system, everything is just overwhelmed. It's kind of in that fight or flight, and we just don't even realize that that's where we're at. And I'd like to ask you, how do you handle that? How do you handle those times of stress? And how do you kind of prevent yourself from getting to that point?
Yeah. that has been seriously a long journey in figuring that out. I can still get caught up if I'm not careful. So the first step really is awareness. It's just being willing to take a minute and check in with myself. How am I doing? Why am I feeling edgy? What did just trigger me? Or is it that I'm tired? Maybe I'm thirsty. What is it? Is it actually something someone did? Or is it something that instead I'm just not managing well? Being a mom, of course, sometimes it can be something someone did, but most of the time it's that we're just not managing well. We're overwhelmed. Our system is triggered. And so, first being aware, but then secondly, being willing to pause. And I know for myself and for a lot of moms, we feel guilty when we pause. That's a problem. If we are not willing to take care of ourselves the way that we would want to take care of our neighbor who was overwhelmed, or our sister who was overwhelmed, or our mom who was overwhelmed, then we're not going to be able to care for our family the way that they deserve to be cared for. And so when we realize that by caring for ourselves, we're caring for the carer, that we're
Yes.
actually blessing our family. And so it doesn't have to be long moments of pause. For me, it often looks like a cup of tea during the day. If it's summertime, that might even just be iced tea. And I don't personally like a lot of sugar, but I have a lot of healthy ways that I can do things that boost my energy and boost my brain function that are also tea related. And it's just very important that I refresh that way periodically through the day because then I can keep my energy up and everyone's attitudes in my home and in most homes do wrap around how mom is doing.
Yes. I notice that so much. And, as you're talking about taking time to pause, taking time to take care of yourself, what I'm hearing you say is it doesn't have to be a long time. So it could be 5 minutes. And what I have noticed is over time, as I do this consistently for myself, my home is just a lot more peaceful. And my kids generally are a lot calmer. And I just have found that I find kind of like you said, that joy in the little things, like being able to, like, I know the other day I was just sitting outside with one of my boys on the swing, swinging with him. And in the past, whenever I was not caring for myself, my brain would have been spinning with like, I've got to do this, got to do this. Oh my goodness, this is going on. And just that crushing weight of life, of like the commitments we have and the things we need to get done, the to-do list. But because I have started to make it a habit of just taking time to care for myself, and like you said, it could be 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be very long. I was able to sit in that moment with him on the swing, enjoy, like, hear the birds chirping outside, feel the rhythmic calming of the swing, and just have complete and utter peace in my heart and just smile and thank the Lord for that moment. I think that that's what we don't realize is waiting for us on the other side of caring for ourselves because like you said, we do often feel selfish. We feel like, oh, but I have all this other stuff I have to do. I have to take care of the kids. I have to do this. But life and relationships would be so much more enjoyable if we would make that time for ourselves. Have you had a similar experience like that with you learning to take more time to care for yourself?
Absolutely. I remember back in my younger mom days how I had bought into the idea that self care was kind of like when before we have kids or when you're just a single young adult. That was going to the spa and getting your nails done or getting a massage or having a whole day out to just shop and enjoy friends and have lunch. There was just this preconceived idea that that's going to remain the only type of self care that's valuable into
Mhm.
motherhood. And I don't know why. I guess partially there's not a good cultural message there to tell us that that's not what self care is. And we just kind of maybe get stuck there. I'm not sure. I think I did. And so it took me a while to realize, and it took me some real intense times to realize that if I was going to make it, if I was going to be the mom I wanted to be, create those memories with my children the way I wanted to create them, have the relationship with them, not just in the moment and then them dislike me and leave and never talk to me again as adults, or maintain that relationship with my husband that I wanted to maintain, that it meant I needed to be able to be my authentic self.
Yeah.
And when I'm living in such a stressed out space, so constantly overwhelmed, and I end up feeling almost detached from who I am, kind of robotic in certain ways. We're just surviving, just making it through, make the dinner, clean the bathrooms, fold the laundry, sleep, get up, make the breakfast, do the school, instead of being like creative and curious and able to really be more intuitive with the children and connect at a heart level and be willing to slow down, to even do things like correct them properly and teach them conflict resolution and the things that instead, when I'm overloaded or overwhelmed, feel like an irritation, feel like an interruption. But they're not. They're a short period of my life that I have an opportunity with my children. And so for me, just taking those short breaks, just like you said, it could be just doing grounding, where we're looking
Mhm.
for the five senses. What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I see? What do I feel? Those sort of things. That alone, or even just a very short minute of deep breathing, a quick, warm cup of tea, whether it's with your kids, by yourself, with your spouse, on the phone with a friend. Those things can recenter you so quickly and really calm you and help you move on in the day in the way you want to.
I think one of my favorite just quick things to do if I find that stress level rising, I can feel the overwhelm coming up, is just to stop and take maybe 4 or 5 different rounds of deep breathing. And it is amazing how I can just feel it's like the tension just kind of leaves my body. And I think we try to overcomplicate it. Like you said, we have this idea of this is what self-care looks like. It has to take 30 minutes to an hour. I have to leave the house for an entire day, whatever it may be. And we don't realize that really we could actually begin to make this self-care a habit. And it could be these little micro habits that is taking 2 minutes to practice some deep breathing when you feel your stress level rising. Maybe it is making an afternoon cup of tea, or my favorite is a bedtime cup of tea as like a kind of a ritual, especially like different sleepy time teas. I love making my own blends, and it just as a signal to your body, it's time to wind down, it's time to rest. I love throwing some collagen in there as well for a little extra protein to help me, and like a little bit of coconut milk or MCT oil for some fat to help me sleep. And it just is a good bedtime routine. But then also, those herbs really start to help me to be able to rest better. And I think that sometimes we just get like, maybe we don't know how to start and we think it has to be this big, complicated thing where it really doesn't. It can be something very simple and very basic. Have you found yourself coming against obstacles that would really keep you from, like, maybe you got started with self-care and started doing these little things, but then did you have times where you felt like you'd fallen back off and you noticed yourself again, you're not doing it again? And how did you handle that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think for so many families, it's common that if we have a simple schedule change, maybe we go on vacation or we have a visitor or we're ending the school year and we're into the summer season or just anything, that can really throw off our entire routine to the point where, again, we get put to the last because that's, what we do as moms, which isn't okay, but we do it. And for me, it's helped to establish simple, kind of like almost like a ladder with pegs, and so that
Mhm.
I have specific routines, specific frameworks in my life that I cling to, whether that is a simple phone alarm or rest time in the day for the children or time that we go outside and they just get their energy out and, but in a safe place where I can kind of also sit still. It just depends, but having those things that can fit into every day, unless we are out of town, it really helps me because even when our routines shift, certain things don't. And so I also have learned over time to be just like I'm a student of my children, I have tried to become a student of myself and be
Mhm.
willing to start noticing, like I said earlier, awareness.
Yeah.
What are my patterns? Where do I find that there's a tipping point? What is it so that I can just simply prevent getting there and I enjoy my life so much more and I enjoy my family so much more and then I get to have the motherhood I want to have. And really a huge key with the mindset thing is in the beginning when I thought self-care had to be these extensive amounts of time, that almost stressed me out more
Mhm.
because I wasn't knowing that I could do something productive in just a couple simple minutes. I was so stressed out that I couldn't do something to stop being stressed out.
Right?
That was not productive for
Yeah.
anybody. And kids really do play off. I mean, they say mom is the heart of the home. Well, in so many ways, we are. And kids really do play off of the emotions and whatever it is we're feeling, really, they can read us so well. That's their whole job as kids. And besides playing and developing, they study us. I mean, that is where their safety. So they have to know what's going on with us. And that can cause a lot of stress if we are stressed out. And it's this vicious cycle. So if you can break that cycle for yourself, you are breaking it for your family, you are changing everything.
It's so funny that you brought that up because actually this morning I was thinking about how, I will start to implement these little habits and it's the same with this, with self care. What I hear you saying, anyways, is if we can start with small things and we just make it where it's part of life, it's no longer something we have to put any kind of mental energy into making sure we get done. It's not a to do list, it's just something we do without thinking. And I think that that is really the point you want to get to with so much in life, because then it's no longer requiring you any kind of mental stress or strain, but you're still able to care for yourself. And I really like what you say about keeping it simple, keeping it basic, making it just these small little instances throughout the day. I just have found that that has been very, very helpful for me. So you've kind of shared a little bit of how you find time to care for yourself. Do you find that you kind of need sometimes that accountability, whether it's like from your husband or from other moms or whatever, just that accountability to say, hey, I really need to show up for myself at least a couple times a day, even if it's for 2 minutes? And how does that look for you if that's the case?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, first, I love community.
Yeah.
But again, I will absolutely starve myself of it. And I will starve myself of pretty much everything on accident when I'm not being aware. So for me, it looks like a couple things. For me, in order to spend some time hanging out with people I adore who have a lot in common with, I have a membership for moms like me with special needs kids. And then I have at least once a month where I get to go hang out with these precious moms. So that is one way to set it in your calendar, make it happen, even if you create it yourself. Another way that I do it is I specifically have times of day where I will meet with my husband and we will have tea or coffee. It's the same thing for going on a short walk during the day. It's in the calendar. I know we will walk every morning at 11 o'clock for just a short bit on a break. And if I didn't have that in the calendar to remind me, I wouldn't do it. I would want to, but I'd forget. I'd look up at 2 o'clock and go, oh my gosh, where'd the day go? The kids and I were so busy. And so I am creating a new way to also support myself with that and other women who want to come along this journey. And I'm actually doing a tea membership. If you hate tea, that's fine. It's a hot beverage, but I personally love tea.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be having like a bunch of different ways that we can meet up just to keep appointments with ourselves. So we'll have a quiet session where we can have tea and journal with lovely music. And then we're going to have a community session where we can have tea with friends and meet and do it that way. And in the meantime, learn how to boost our health, calm our nervous system very efficiently without overwhelm, things that really work to help you reconnect with yourself, connect with others if you want to. So that is my newest baby so that I can also have the accountability and the connections. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing.
So I actually am a member of Katie's other membership, and I know that she does such a wonderful job at connecting people and just offering a really calm and very supportive and encouraging environment. So I'm also very excited about it as well, because like you, and I know so many people listening, I do sometimes struggle and I do need that community, that accountability, and not in the sense accountability like, oh, they're going to get on to you if you don't do it. It's more like a supportive encouragement to say, hey, you are important enough. You do need to take care of yourself in more of that encouraging manner. I know that so many of us listening, we want to do it, but maybe we don't know where to get started. Maybe we don't know what that looks like. Maybe we are thinking, okay, well, you're saying 2 minutes a day, but where could I even fit that 2 minutes in? And sometimes life is that busy that you think, I don't even have 2 minutes. And I think that that's why, if you're part of this membership and you're really able to say, okay, I'm going to meet with these other people, I'm going to maybe make some new friends. I've made wonderful friends online and I can build some community while also taking care of myself. I feel like it's the best of both worlds. And like you said, if you don't love tea, that's okay. Come coffee, hot cocoa. I love all of them. So I might have to switch things out as I come to the meetings. But I would like for you to share with our listeners, what is actually your favorite herbal tea?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I have a whole pantry door just filled with herbal teas. I'll have a different one each day. My favorite winter tea that is not herbal is chai tea. I have a real passion for that. I don't know why.
I
But
love chai.
herbal, because of the health benefits, I think I'm always jumping from one to another. So the very first thing we're going to do inside the tea membership, we are going to be using up the tea that we have and using that as our first challenge. And then one of the things that I'll be offering inside of there, first off, are ways to actually do this without having to just stick your kids on screens. So
Yes.
there will be ways for you to have those moments with your family and with your kids, and also just to keep your kids busy so that you can find these moments with having some pre thought out solutions for you that hopefully will help and begin that habit. And then we will develop from there.
I'm so excited. I have a whole cabinet full of different herbs. I love to make up my own tea blends. So I'm excited. I feel like sometimes I get in a rut where I'll make up a few blends and then I just kind of forget about it and just use what I have. So I'm really excited to be encouraged to mix up some different blends and just enjoy that community. So would you share with my audience, where can they find you at? And also just thank you so much for coming. I've enjoyed it so much.
Oh gosh, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
The easiest place to find me will be my podcast, Her Home and Heart, and then my website, which is herhomeandheart.com. And if you're very specifically interested in this membership to come and learn how to find a moment of pause and build in that calm in your day, that is sipofdelight.com. And so it'll be really fun over there too.
And I will also post both of those down in the show notes below so you guys can quickly find it. Katie, thank you so much for coming. And is there any last word of advice or encouragement that you have to share with my audience?
Yes, actually. The very most important tip that I would have for any mom looking to find a way to be calm and to enjoy the motherhood journey is to first just be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace and think about what you're telling yourself. Try to pay attention. That's a piece of that awareness. Just notice what you're saying to yourself and then ask, is that something I would say to my friend who was in my situation? And tell yourself a story. Say, there was this friend I had once and she had this many kids and her situation was XYZ. And literally tell yourself the story, but put yourself in that story with disconnecting it. It helps tremendously because you'll be able to see it so much more clearly. And suddenly you'll think, my goodness, why would I ever say that to her? But it's really you. Apply that to yourself and be kind to you and only say the things to yourself that you would want to say to either the person in the story or the neighbor that you have, or, it's just, that is a very important first step. We're so hard on ourselves and it's not fair. Mamas love their kids and we're living in a world where moms aren't appreciated the way that they should be. That doesn't mean, by our families that our families don't appreciate us, but just in our culture in general, it's not a valued position like it used to be. And yet it's one of the most crucial positions that we can have. And it's only for a season. And so it is so worth it to just love yourself through the season because you will love your kids more that way and your husband more, and you will enjoy it so much more thoroughly.
Wonderful, wonderful advice. Thank you again, Katie, and I'm so glad you were able to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Mama, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who is wanting to live more holistically without the overwhelm? Also, don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. It blesses and encourages me to know that this show is helping you. All right, friends, it's time for me to go work in the garden and make some homemade bone broth. I will see you back next week.